Welcome back to DPS podcast. Oh my gosh, why is stuff not working correctly? There we go. It's working again. All right. Damage per second podcast, episode 182. We are back on a fine Thursday night, feeling all right. First and foremost, let me give a shout out to Mr. Corey Hale. This man came in just straight up, just before we even got through the intro, before we even got done with the countdown, was like 5 gifted subs. Straight like that. Just bam, just threw them right on the table. Shout out to Corey Hale. And if you got a gifted sub from Corey, please thank him in the chat. We really appreciate him doing that. But we're about to get into the show. Ain't that right, Mr. Gaming Forte, my co-host with the co-most? Oh my God. I hope you brought your words with you, because like so far you have been it's difficult to communicate with. I'm just saying, you just like you can't say words. You're losing, your marbles. You're forgetting the words you're trying to say. It's like, what is happening, man? You good? You good? Oh man. Okay, look, that's that. We're gonna get into that a little bit later. We got some topics here before we just jump straight into it. But Forte, let us know what you've been doing this week, man. What you've been playing. Who held you at gunpoint? Subject you with this. You said they always like to use friendship to subject. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, you about to be mad at me. Okay, we gonna start this.
What I'm about to be mad about?
You was muted. But look, hey, I get one a year. I get one a year. My bad. My bad, chat.
Say here.
Look, okay.
Hey, yo, listen, we done finally got slow-mo. We done finally got him.
I pulled the Forte.
At some point, it was gonna happen.
I pulled the Forte. Hey, look, we can't all be perfect. We have to have some grace.
Listen, I try to say it all the time, but some people think that the human race is perfect, and I'm the one that's going to tell you, heck no, it ain't.
Oh man.
No, shout out to everybody in the chat for letting slow-mo. Drop if you got a DPS logo, drop the DPS logo in the chat for the homie slow-mo. Drop the applause. Speaking of which, let's
go.
Let's applaud the homie slow-mo backslash for finally making a mistake. Doesn't happen that often, but we gonna live off that one. But
Baron says
my audio is super low. Yeah, I'm gonna turn it up some. I usually turn it down after. For some reason, it's only our podcast when it seems like it's low. So I'm gonna
turn you up on Discord as well.
You don't have to. I turned my mixer up 10 levels, so I should be way louder now. But but no, outside of that,
that's an improvement. Before you were muted and they couldn't hear you at all. Now they just hear you a little bit. So we working our way to it.
Yeah, we working our way towards the positive side of the spectrum. But but no, what have I been doing? Well, like I said, playing Call of Duty with the homies.
Yes, that's so much more. No, don't say that part. See, they didn't hear none of the slander that you gave me and Taz. You don't have to repeat any of that. Yeah, just leave all that out and just talk about how good a time we had. Yeah, there you go.
I had fun playing with the homies. We won a couple of games. We slayed out. I had some really good games.
See. There you go.
Outside of Call of Duty, new season's really lit. I got a chance to King Kong somebody across the room, and it was awesome. I was lit. Listen, I'm telling you, every game I have to at least, not every game, but every time I play, I have to at least get one game where I just heave somebody across the.
Dude, let me tell you,
looks the best on the map. What's the one with the where it's like the river and stuff that you could go in and stuff?
Yeah, it's the town. It's like a little, like a seaside town with the water. Yeah. I can't remember the name of it.
It's like one of the best ones when you throw somebody off of it and you can see them go out to sea.
Yeah, I particularly love the King Kong assassination because if you're inside a building or something, they don't just allow the person to just disappear through the map, like clip through the map, like a lot of wannabe AAA games would do. No, not in Call of Duty. You're gonna have them ricocheting off the walls and everything. It's great. It's so good. It's like the best assassination.
Every time I see that happen inside a room, I was like, why can't this happen in Battlefield? Somebody would just go through the wall. The wall would be an imprint of a person's body. It'd be great.
And I bought that assassination was the only part of the pack I wanted. It was $20.
I saw. I know you bought it just because you couldn't buy it separately.
No, they knew better. They know what they doing, man. They was like, yo, you want that part, we'll give you the skin and we'll give you the weapon wrap and stuff, but we know what you want here.
I'm a huge Godzilla fan, and I looked at the Godzilla skin. I was like, I don't like that. It just doesn't look. It looks okay, but it's like I saw the Kong one, and I was like, that finisher, that finisher is worth $20 every time you do it.
They're very hit or miss when it comes to their the skins that they do. Like I think like if you've seen the Violator skin from Spawn, it looks goofy. Like I don't know why they tried to make him like a half humanoid. It's just like, look, why they should have just went with the regular old clown Violator version and not like the actual demon one. It was just funny looking. And then
do you think they do better with their in-house built skins, or do you think they do better with the licensed ones?
It depends. So like the one that I always rock is the Paul Atreides.
The Paul Atreides one is nice.
Yeah, and that one looks just like the actor.
I watched Dune again with my wife the other day. Just
the first or the second one?
Both. We watched the first one on what day was that? Monday or Tuesday? We watched the first one on Monday or Tuesday, and then the next day we watched Dune 2.
Yeah. Amazing movies as usual.
The more I watch it, the more I like them.
George Lucas could never. George Lucas did. He wished he could, but he can't.
One got sold for over $2 billion, but we'll leave it at that.
When you copy the best and you make a very good imitation,
he gave it up.
Wasn't that good to begin with. Anyway, look, so back to Call of Duty. I think so. Like they also have the skin for Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead, and it looks just like Andrew Lincoln, the actor.
Yeah.
And so I feel like with for some reason male characters,
Michonne looks terrible.
Right, Michonne looks terrible, and every the Tomb Raider Lara Croft one I got looks terrible. They basically took that one Hispanic woman drug lord. They took her face and just made slight alterations and just called her Lara Croft. And I'm like, there ain't no daggone Lara Croft. And so it's just, what do you do? Like they suck at doing any skins that are like not quite human and also woman. It's only the men's, like the men can they do well, which is just, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Anyway, we've been having fun with that. For myself, I have been playing a lot of games. I've been, and I can't think of any of them right now. Okay, here we go.
A lot of games that you can't even think of one.
I've been playing a lot of XDefiant. I've been playing a lot of XDefiant. Taz quit on me. Shout out to Taz, but it is what it is. I've been playing with a couple of friends. Shout out to Blue and shout out to Smiles. They've been playing with me. We've been having a good time with that. Haven't played with you yet, but we gonna get it done. As you said, Call of Duty, and then I think it's been dabbling in a lot of little games here and there. Just nothing. After I beat.
What day did you beat Hellblade on?
That had to have been last Friday or last Saturday. I would say probably last Saturday.
Okay.
Because last Friday I feel like I was super busy. But yeah, I beat it
on Tuesday.
So let's do a couple little things before we get into the topics. You want to discuss your feelings on Hellblade? Hellblade 2?
We can roll into that for a second.
All right, man. So look, you beat it, I beat it. Go ahead and tell me how you feel about the game overall, and especially compared to the first game.
I think it was great. I think it's superior to the first game in every way. I understand where people kind of look at the combat and see it being a little bit lackluster, but I will say the trade-off that you got for some of the control that you felt like you had in the combat was enhanced by the fact that the overall experience of the combat was better. Like, I wasn't bored playing this game when it came to the combat. I really wasn't bored in the first one because the first one, there was a lot of other things that kind of kept you engaged in the game, like the voices and, it was like your first time going through something like that you never experienced before. So they weren't going to be able to use that same trick the second time around because everybody already knows, what's going to happen when it comes to that. So everybody knows that the combat had to be improved. Well, I want to say they punted on it a little bit. They just kind of made the combat different, and it made it more like everybody said, more cinematic, more. It was like more epic. Like every fight you felt like this is the thing. Every fight you got into, it felt like it was the last fight of a Hollywood blockbuster movie every time. And I can see how some people thought that gets a little I can see how people said that probably got annoying at some point. But for me, it was so spaced out. Like the combat wasn't like always in your face. You were only really impacted by it probably 2 to 3 times per level, and then it was at like you were doing a whole bunch of fighting at one time, and then it was all back to the expedition and the story. So for me, I think the cinematic feel of it definitely brought something to the table that I wasn't expecting from the game. But then when you go ahead and you think about what the overall notion of what Ninja Theory was going for, with their ability for mocapping and facial designs and animations and stuff, they really went really hard in making sure that the experience of this was not just something that you were going to experience. It's like if you only experienced it one time, it was going to be one of the best things you experienced.
Okay, but we got. You said you turned up your volume. How much?
10. Did you turn it up some?
I know what. Let me.
Did you turn me up, Jenny?
I thought I put you back to where, you know what? Let me put you down a little bit. I did bring you up a little. Okay, here we go. Sorry. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Yeah. Just let me know if y'all need me to turn me down on my end. I can do it. I'm sorry, Gregor, if I blew out your eardrums. But no, I think it was great. I really enjoyed the overall story. I didn't think they could really impact me as much as the first one did, because I was telling you and I told some other people, the first game was a personal story, her personal demons, her personal struggles with psychosis, and the death of her lover, and taking her to Helen and trying to bring him back, or die trying, and all this other stuff. So it was a very, very impactful story This one, I think, with the larger arching story that they did, I think they did an amazing job telling that story. And plus, there was other protagonists there outside of the voices that were mainstays in the story progression that made you kind of not just only care about what she was going through, but what those characters were going through too. So I really liked it, and I really like how they played up portions of the end of the game to like kind of set you up to like what direction they could be going in the third one, since we know that something has already been greenlit when it comes to that. So I enjoyed the game. I think it deserved. I think I still would have probably set on the 8.6 I was giving it, but I can definitely understand the 8.1s because I think it's in line with the first one in every way. I just think it did things that the first one did. They did a little bit better, but it doesn't mean it was a completely better game in general. I just think it was just a better overall experience for what they was giving you inside of the same, universe of what the game is made in.
Yeah, I'll speak my piece on it real quick. So I would say,
He said he was trolling.
I know. Ninja Theory doubled down on the things that people enjoyed about Hellblade 2, but I don't think they went far enough in shoring up the issues that people had with the first game. And what I mean by that is like, so the things that people thought were great about the first game were the visuals, like it was on Unreal Engine 4. No one outside of Epic and maybe the Coalition have really like had that level of visual fidelity with an Unreal Engine game like that before. It looked fantastic. They took that, they doubled down, they made it even better. This is probably the best looking photorealistic game I've seen. And I thought that was well done, and somewhat to the detriment of performance. There's always a balancing act when it comes to visuals and performance. Like you can have, I've seen some games on Steam, and I say games loosely because they really aren't games. It's just basically a rendered environment with a free floating camera. But you can get like free quote unquote games on Steam where it just looks visually breathtaking, but there's no game there. And I'm not saying that's Hellblade, but I'm saying that like it's a balancing act when it comes to getting performance and rock solid performance and getting a visual eye candy beautiful game. And it's very rare that you get both. And normally when you do get both, it's usually coming from a team that's like a huge AAA team with 5 support studios like you see from Rockstar and Naughty Dog. But this was just Ninja Theory. They didn't use any support studios. So they definitely deserve all the credit for how well this game looks. Being made by 80 people and no support studio. Despite, I don't know what Matt Booty's doing, not giving them a support studio, but whatever, right? So, visuals are fantastic. I know there's some people that say, like, oh, it's the best looking game I've ever seen. I think that it's like you get tiers, and this is up at, like, when it comes to, like, a tier system, this would be like a S tier visual looking game. But once you start to get up there, it's like, now things become a bit subjective when you're being compared against like the other best looking games ever. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, ultra realistic. Like I still think Horizon Forbidden West is still one of the best looking games I've ever seen.
Right, but that's not a photorealistic game. That's a different kind of art. Yeah, different art direction, different art style, and I think for what both games do, they nailed it. Like they nailed the execution. It's just that it comes down to preference at that point when it's basically like, well, I prefer the way Hellblade looks compared to Horizon Forbidden West or vice versa. Yeah, but it's really about, like people say, it's just a bunch of rocks everywhere. It's just Iceland. And I'm just like, well, look,
best looking rocks you ever seen.
Exactly. And when you think about that Unreal Engine demo that Epic did back in 2020, there was a lot of rock walls and even though different environment, a lot of the same kind of assets that you saw in there, you see in this. So it's just like Ninja Theory really just kind of doubled down on something that they knew the engine was very good at. But there's when you go photorealistic, you lose the creativity to kind of do the kind of things that we saw in like Horizon Forbidden West, where you see these amazing machines that are imitating animals, and the detail in those machines, the environments, you got like flora and fauna, the environments, they're not like, this is thousands of years in the future after life is restarted, and plant life is a bit different now. So it's just like, it's all those little things that come together to kind of show like their creativity. And I could look at like Cyberpunk, and in ways, Hellblade 2 trumps Cyberpunk even in path tracing, with the way detail is in the environment, with the way character models look. But then where CDPR's Red Engine still in that game, even though it came out, years ago, but they kept updating it. Dude. That game still beats other games in certain areas, in certain ways, and lighting and ray tracing, and how certain things are rendered and the way they look. It's just, and the only ray tracing you get in Hellblade 2 is through Lumen. They got ray trace global illumination. It's like a part of the Lumen features of Unreal Engine 5. But even without the ray, like full-on ray tracing that we see in other games, it's a beautiful game. Now, all that said, my feelings on combat is that, and I've been saying it for years, ever since I beat Hellblade 1, that I felt the combat was shallow. And I guess maybe I wasn't clear enough in how I felt it was shallow, and how I felt it was shallow in the first game. And I think I actually may have said it a few times about how I just wish she had more than one weapon. She only used the sword in the first game, and that's it. And in this game, for the most part, unless there may be some animations where when you finish someone off and they may have an axe, she may grab it and help like use the axe and the sword to finish someone. But primarily she's just using the sword again. And I do like the more cinematic feel to the game. But what I don't... Are you okay?
Yeah.
You may want to move your mic.
I don't know why I saw it pulsating.
But I think the more cinematic feel of the combat is, I understand the approach, and I think how they executed it, it's as time has gone on, I've thought more fondly about the combat than I did when I finished the game. But and I understand the one-on-one aspects of it, but I feel like if you're going to take away multiple enemies, you're going to take away some of the tools that Senua may have, like meleeing an enemy. Then let's add in some things. Let's add in another weapon. I think that would have been cool. Like maybe that at some point or maybe after each chapter that had a major fight in it, she finds a weapon, and I know some people will be like, well, she doesn't know how to use those weapons, and she's not like a freaking Kratos. I'm not saying she needs to be the god of war, but at some point let's develop the combat to a point where it's not just her using the sword. Maybe let's have enemies where it would be easier for her to dispatch them. I'm not saying you can't dispatch them with a sword. It would be easier to dispatch those enemies with a different weapon. And you have that choice to kind of switch between them. I mean, I think that's like an evolution that seems pretty seamless, instead of where they've gone with it so far. And with Hellblade 3, I wonder where they'll take it from there, because you clearly just don't want it to stay the way it is. You want it to kind of grow. And so I think that's something that I'd like to see. The story, I actually like the story. Like I know there are people who were critical of it, saying that Senua doesn't have any agency in what's going on. I don't think those people realize that you know what? Let me not say that, because I'd like to say something that will technically be a spoiler. And the game has only been out for a week, so let me not say what I was about to say. But I will say this though, right? In the very beginning of the game, she's on a ship and she's a slave, and she's been captured by slavers. For people who believed she didn't have any agency in the story, you gotta understand that like the people that captured her are the same people that also killed everyone in her village, including her lover. So like she does have agency in the story. It's just not as personal of a story because she's not battling the voices in her mind in this game like she was in the previous game. But
she pretty much telling them to kiss her ass the whole time.
yeah. She basically ignores them for the vast majority of the game. They just kind of, it almost seems as if they're like talking to you instead of talking to her. But that and the puzzles, I do think that like they could have just did without any of the puzzles from the first game. I think they did hear the criticism about the puzzles and they tried to make them better. The ones that they did have, the newer puzzles, I think are fine. It's just that there's just one whole section where it's just too much of it. It's just like,
and you gotta literally flip everything and then backtrack and flip it again.
Yeah, it's like chapter 4 is just like, bro, why is it ridiculous? In it almost kind of feels like it's just padding. Like they just padded to try to extend the playtime out a little bit further because it's not exactly a long game. But I'm just like, good grief, could we? I don't mind that you used it to extend the playtime, but can we balance it? Like, can we have taken some of those puzzles and put them in different chapters? Not necessarily, like, of course, the environment was different from where you were at in chapter 4 versus 5 and 6, whatever. But like, it could have been. I think it could have been balanced a bit better.
Right.
All that said, let's move on to. I know we both have played XDefiant, and I talked about it last week. I just want your thoughts on XDefiant real quick before we get into the topic.
So I put out a tweet yesterday asking people about their thoughts on basically how they felt they compare to other gamers, because XDefiant has no skill-based matchmaking, once you get out of the welcome arena and stuff. And I just found it interesting because a lot of people were complaining about things happening in the game and, saying that they said, is it really no skill-based matchmaking? It feels like it is. It feels like I'm playing against nothing but sweats. So I put a tweet out and, wanted to hear people's thoughts, because part of me feels like a lot of people just feel like they're better than they actually are in some games. And I'm like,
spicy Forte.
It's the truth. Like, I'm not, this is my thing. I can say stuff like that because I'm not ignorant to the fact that there are games that I know I am not good at. Like, there used to be a time I was great at Call of Duty. I can't stand Black Ops 3. Now, a lot of people will say, well, can you not stand, not Black Ops 3, Modern Warfare 3. Can you not stand it because you're just not good at it? That might have something to do with it. That might have a lot to do with it. It also might have something to do with it that I don't care to be good at it, so I don't put time in to try to get better at it. So I just crap on the game any chance I get. So I can sit here and tell people that that's how I feel about the game. But when people out here just complain and cry, they make it seem like, well, I'm better than most of these people. And I'm like, are you really better than most of these people out here? Because if there's no skill-based matchmaking, somebody has to be at the bottom.
There's nobody protecting you. There's nobody protecting you.
There's no protection out here. So somebody has to be at the bottom. Someone has to occupy the middle, and there will always be a king of the hill. Now, how often you're at the top of that hill is all on your skill level. And from what I played at XDefiant, I felt like was a very perfect representation of what a game without skill base could be, because every game felt different. Like I would run into certain people in a lobby where I was like, that dude's just good. Like I can tell that he's just good not because of just I turned the corner and caught a bullet to the head. I turned the corner and he like flexed a little bit to the left, right off a corner, or the way he was playing the corner, or the way he was playing some type of object in front of him to kind of block some of the view of his body, even though all you got to do is aim for his head. But he's thinking like most people think about it slow mo, and you know this as a person who plays FPSs. Most people don't aim for the head.
Right.
They aim center mass. It takes a special person to aim for the head all the time. It's not easy to do. So your job is to keep most of your body out of harm's way by using objects in front of you. Now, if a person shoots you in the head, that's a great shot. Congratulations. I shake your hand, sir. But for the most part, you're going to deflect 90% of those bullets because people are shooting for your body. And if you're good enough and they're in the open because they don't have good cover, you're going to beat them 9 out of 10 times because of your positioning, the way you use the game and play it. I love the way XDefiant promotes that. Now, that's not an XDefiant thing in general. That's just the fact that you can tell that once you get out of the welcome arena, that's kind of how the game plays itself. Now, this game still
the welcome playlist does that. I want people to understand, and I think I touched on this last week, but not to a big degree because we weren't really having a discussion about how the game plays. But the welcome playlist, as of right now, is the only thing that has skill-based matchmaking. So I just want people to understand that's clear, that the entire game isn't no skill-based matchmaking. But it is the only shooter on the market that does give you the option.
Yeah, exactly. Good guy.
Because most of them don't. Huh? Oh, the assassination?
Just took one in the knee.
You're right. The assassinations in this game are so great.
They are funny.
Yeah, so like, it's the only game on the market that gives you a choice. Because every other shooter, whether it be Halo, Call of Duty, Battlefield, shoot any of them, Rogue Company for Dead Games, Overwatch, they all have skill-based matchmaking. Marvel Rivals is going to come out soon. It's not like it's a hero shooter, not like a first-person shooter, per se, but that's going to have skill-based matchmaking. They all do it. This is the only one that is giving you a choice. That for unranked, hey, there's no SBMM. For it will be in ranked, and ranked hasn't unlocked yet. But I just want to make that clear because maybe some people didn't listen last week and didn't know for certain, or just didn't know in general about that. Go ahead, man. Forte.
Yeah, so no, that's kind of my thoughts on it. I just think in general it's really, really fun. I haven't got a chance to play it with you. I only played for like probably 30, 40 minutes. Well, no, I played a little bit longer than that, like an hour. And I enjoyed a little bit of time, but it was just funny jumping into a game, knowing nothing about it, and then just watching the internet and going to like the Reddit and seeing people talk about it. And I remember Slow-Mo, he said, "Why do you think there's no skill-based matchmaking?" I was like, "Oh, I don't think there isn't skill-based matchmaking. I'm trying to figure out why everybody thinks that they're lying about it being skill-based matchmaking."
Yeah, I thought that was fascinating. Like I didn't know that was a conversation that was being had, that people was like, "No, man, SBMM is on." And I'm just like, well, why do people think it's on? Like, I don't understand why.
Because people think they're better than they actually are. And when they lose or they're getting bodied, it has to be because they're playing against people that are better than them. And this is the thing. When you think about it. Everybody knows there's people out there that's better than them. Everybody knows that. Right. Any skill level you're at, 1%, there's going to be that 1/10 of the percent that's better than you. These people, when you tell somebody there is no SMBB or skill-based matchmaking or SBBM, when you tell there's none of that, in their minds, they're instantly saying I'm gonna be better than most of the people in the game. And when you get bodied consistently, your whole mindset is like, no. There is no way there's that many more people in this game better than me.
Right. And so like with XDefiant, in the welcome playlist, I felt the shift in the skill-based matchmaking. I think
in there.
Yeah, like I think like my first 5 matches I was averaging like 25 anywhere between 25 to 40 kills in the match. And then there was a shift. And then I started playing with people who was bunny hopping all over the place, and and as soon as you come around the corner, they snap to you, and I was like, okay, so I'm playing with, I guess, some better players now. And I was doing all right until I got out. No, I wasn't out of the playlist yet, but I'm now, I think I'm level 30 now, and the playlist ends at 25. So now there is no SBMM period. Like there's no choice for me now. And I understand that, because what they don't want is they don't want people going into the welcome playlist and stomping on noobs. And even if you get to maybe like level 10, you're starting to get familiar with the maps, you're starting to understand the maps, you're starting to unlock weapons, level weapons up, you're understanding the factions a bit better and their abilities and how to use them and when to use them. And you're knowing all of these things that someone who's brand new does not know. And they don't want you just stomping on noobs. So they put it at 25. Once you're at 25, you're just out in the wild with everyone else, and they prioritize ping. So, and I think that I can say for sure that has been consistent. I have not been in a lobby where someone's ping is like in triple digits, and I'm just like, what the heck are they doing here? And they're, half the magazine I'm laying into them isn't registering and stuff like that. That's not happening. My ping has been on average anywhere between like 20 to 25 milliseconds. And I haven't seen anyone in my lobbies that is above a 40, which is a welcome change, because there'll be some times in Call of Duty and it's trying to, like, I'm playing with people and they're trying to match us, and it'd be like at 96 millisecond lobby. I'm like, nah. I just say no. I just cancel it. I just start over, because I'm not trying to be in that lobby. But I'm having fun with it. And you have your matches where you go up against like a full stack and they just destroy your team, and you're barely hanging on. And then you have your matches where you're the guys that are stomping the other team. Earlier this week, I was playing with my 2 friends, Blue and Smiles, and we have some great matches. And I think that without skill-based matchmaking, I've noticed that we've actually had more competitive matches than in Call of Duty. And it's like, and some people may like, well, how is that possible? Skill-based matchmaking, the point of it is to make sure that everyone is around the same skill level. And in that case, your matches should be more competitive, but that's not really how it all works. The way it works sometimes, and I've seen this in a lot of the games that I played. If you're playing solo. If you're playing solo, right? And I've seen this in every single game that has skill-based matchmaking. The other team will be like not as skilled as you, and you're the best player in the entire lobby, but your team are like all lower skilled than the other team. And so what ends up happening is their skill-based matchmaking figured it was a balance where this completely weaker group of people can go up against this other group of people who are better, all because you're there. Whatever your number that they have in their system and their algorithm, balance that out. And what ends up happening is you have a great match primarily, but your team stinks. And so you're trying to carry him. And I mean, if you're someone like, say, in Call of Duty where you need the wins to, you know, get points to unlock challenges, it's like, you know, I'm not really trying to carry every single match, or, you know, like having a match that's super sweaty every single match just to get these daggone points. And so having it probably being prioritized by ping, I've always felt that was the best way to go about it. So far, I'm liking it. And, you know, it's you're going to run into people who are better than you, and you're going to run into people who aren't better than you. But it's, you know, it's at least, you know, that it's all about, you know, your ping, and having people with that level of response like yours is going to be a priority. Now, they do have some cheaters, and they got to get that sorted, because I don't know which version of Snowdrop Engine XDefiant is on, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's on Snowdrop 1.0 and not Snowdrop 2.0, because there have been some exploits of the game engine that I recall from the Division 1 that have shown up in XDefiant, with people using Cronus to speed up the RPMs of their weapons, and it almost like, I mean, tanking people's frame rates. You just the whole like areas of the map, you just hear like this loud, weird sound, like 500 AKs going off at once. And I'm like, when I heard that sound, I was like, oh, I know what that is. I've seen that before in the Dark Zone. And there's other people who are doing DMA cheats, which is something that I didn't even know existed until this week. But like, and I know some of those things are really difficult to get rid of, but they gotta be more vigilant in getting these cheaters out of there, because that's one way to definitely kill your game. If people feel like it's rampant with cheaters, and you aren't doing enough to get rid of those cheaters, then they will find other games where they feel that it's not that bad. You know, it's not that rampant. But
yeah, I want to give shout out to the homie Gregor Von Doom. I want to give him his flowers. Says usually aim for the neck, and the initial recoil will let the bullets hit them in the head.
True.
So I was like, okay, everybody knows that. So let me go check my homie stats. So I got to give him a shout out. My homie. The homie Gregor Van Doom, I know he plays Destiny a lot, and I know he plays Battlefield a lot. His Destiny overall, 1.29 KD, which is not easy in that game. Mm-hmm. That's with 36, almost just over 3,000 matches played.
Wow.
1.3 KD. That's freaking phenomenal, bro. Shout out to you. And your Battlefield KD, with over 182 matches, 43 hours of playtime, 1.84.
Nice.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. So listen, if you go come in here, you go spew information and say this is how you play a game, you got to let your numbers back it up, bro. And my man's numbers is backing it up. And you know what the funny thing is? Most people just don't know little simple stuff like that. That's all it is. Little simple things make the game a little bit better, a little bit easier for you to enjoy, and it makes it a lot. Because guess what? Everybody likes killing people. No one likes dying.
Right.
So that's kind of where we sit at. So, but with that being said, bro, let's get into the show.
All right, man, let's do this.
Into the show, but you know, I guess
let's get into the first topic. Yeah, 45 minutes in, we just doing the first topic. Good Lord. All right, so look, Amazon. Amazon is hold on, you know, this might be it's not a bad thing. Amazon Games has signed a deal with the former Playground developers. Remember the creative director for Forza Horizon 4 and 5? I think he did Hot Wheels. And he did it's Hot Wheels in 4 or 5? Mm-hmm. No, which one is it? Hot Wheels
is in 5 and 3.
Okay. He was the director for the Hot Wheels update.
Lego is in 4.
Okay, look, he worked on both games. I don't know what he did. I can't remember exactly what he did on either of them, but like he left Playground Games, created a new studio called Maverick Games. And he is the studio head and creative director on their first game. They already, I don't think they have 100 developers yet, but I do recall when they first announced their studio, they were talking about getting, like, they are a AAA studio, and their goal is to basically have enough staff to make AAA games. Well, they've signed a deal with Amazon Games to make a AAA narrative-led open world driving game that's going to be on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S. And just me thinking about a narrative-led like driving game makes me think about like the Fast and Furious, but not the games, but like the movies. And so like I'm hoping that's like, well, one, I think that's smart for them to do because a lot of them come from Forza. Like he took some staff from Forza. It's not just him. And I mean from Playground, and it's not just him. So it's like, look, do something that's familiar and that you guys are already good at doing, and just, you know, put your own spin on it. And I would say that when it comes to any kind of narrative in Forza Horizon, I've always kind of found that be the kind of like pretty weak.
It's the weakest part of the game.
Right. So if they could do an arcade racer that does that a little bit better, then hey, I'm all for it. What do you think, man?
As soon as you said that, I am 100% in agreement. I don't know if you played it, but my favorite Need for Speed game was the original Most Wanted that was on 360 in 2006 when it came out. Having to go against the most wanted, the top 10 most wanted, all the way up to Razor. He was the one that was driving the BMW with the kid on it. It was sweet. The story, like it was like all done through like this stop motion graphic stuff. And then when you get to the actual races, it was like just the conversation between the drivers and stuff was just totally insane. But it was so fun just going through that game because the story was compelling enough. It wasn't like this overall high production.
Or like thing. The Getaway. Was it the Getaway where you were a getaway driver and it's just like every mission was like they'd be robbing a bank or something. You just be in the car waiting for them to get out.
Yeah, stuff like
that.
I
love that game. That game was so good.
Yeah, it's like the biggest thing is just it ultimately just kept coming back to like it doesn't have to be something that's super drawn out and over dramatized. It's just a simple fact that it has to be something that, you know, you don't really get a lot of racing games or just sports games in general because, you know, racing games are classified as sports games too. You don't get games like that really have a story or a narrative tied to it. You know, you have people like EA and with FIFA and Madden try to take advantage of that with their like spin-offs of their little side things, and NBA still does that kind of with their NBAs, their My NBA player. It's all just bad still. I mean, it's basically a means to an end just to get to play Ultimate Team or My Team and stuff on NBA. So it would be nice to get an actual game that had a focus around story, but still had that magic that something like racing through the Sahara Desert or doing some crazy thing that only a video, you know, the things that we only could think of in the Fast and Furious before the Fast and Furious start putting it on in actual movies.
Right.
You know, because that was the thing is now it's like, to me, the things that happened in Fast and the Furious, like, okay, them going to space. In the last one,
I have not watched since 8. I just I tapped out. I couldn't do it no more, man. Matter of fact, which one is it where they were like racing a submarine or something like that, and they had they had like race cars. No, they had like these cars on ice, and they're actually
a submarine. I was like, I'm done. I can't.
The defying logic. This is I mean, even video games have better like physics and logic than this. Like this point.
So that's the thing though. I'll accept a little bit of the quirkiness in a video game. In the movie, like I understand it's not trying to take itself too serious, but you're talking about a franchise that came from when Paul Walker was there. a franchise that was about racing fast cars, getting girls, and trying to and trying to stop some like the cartel and all this other crazy stuff, and it turned into what we are now. So it's
now how I envision Maverick Games making their game is I want the Fast and Furious 1 and 2.
Yes.
Like that. Yes. When you hit 3 and like they're secret agents and they're like, hey, we work. Yeah, and it's just like you was mad at Paul Walker for being a Fed, but now you work for the Fed, whatever, right? So it's just like
right, exactly. Now you working with them.
Yeah, I want it to be, and I guess you could say like, who does Need for Speed? EA.
EA does.
So they try. Yeah, so they try the narrative aspect of things a bit more than Forza Horizon has, and so I guess they could try to do that, but just not let it get corny or stupid or something. I don't know. I just want to say that like my gameplay on the Jumbotron is looking pretty spectacular right now. I'm just saying.
We just ran into a sign right there.
Hey, look, I had that look.
That's a good
Not
turn.
perfect.
That's a good turn. You almost stayed in on the
I had to go back into the archives and find some footage.
Car. That's your favorite car, isn't it?
Oh yeah, Shout out to Don Julio who created that. That car is amazing. I would like to make a DPS car in Forza Horizon 5, but I don't know. Like,
work, bro.
It's a whole lot of work, and I do not have the patience for it. But shout out to Don Julio. That car is freaking amazing. Anything else you want to say about this before we move on?
Like I said, I'm just happy. First of all, I didn't know Amazon was still making games. I thought Amazon tapped out.
No. Google tapped out. Amazon.
Sometimes you get
Amazon.
confused.
Oh yeah, big, huge, massive, billion-dollar corporations that don't know anything about gaming, right? But no, Amazon.
The same thing. They both drop things like bad habits.
True. Although Amazon has been I think they allowed the mistakes that Google made to kind of teach them a few lessons, because they were going to try to push people. I forgot the name of their gaming platform, but they were going to try to push people into that. And then when Google made all their mistakes and they tapped out, it seemed like Amazon decided, all right, so we still going to publish games, but we're going to just have them everywhere and make this money. And so like they published Lost Ark, which is a Korean, like the Korean version of Diablo. They published that. That was pretty successful. They did Lost World, which I don't think was as successful as the MMO. I don't think that was as successful as Lost Ark was, but they know I think they're looking for young talent. And when I say young, I mean like newer studios that aren't as established, so that they can kind of, get in on the ground floor with some talented people and build something up. So I think that's a smarter approach than how Google was working with it.
That makes sense.
Continuing on. This is a rumor, but I find it kind of fascinating to kind of talk about. We're just talking about Playground devs working with Amazon, is that there's a rumor out there, and it hasn't been verified, and it came from a very small media source, but there's a rumor that Xbox Game Studios is now working with former Rockstar developers, I think the studio is called 100 Star, and this studio is founded by former Rocksteady devs Jamie Walker and Sefton Hill, and they're supposedly working on a AAA single-player action adventure game that'll be published by Xbox Game Studios. Now, again, we don't know if this rumor is true or not, but I think that would be a pretty cool idea, especially considering the pedigree of the people who are making it and what they've done in the past. Forte, what are your thoughts on that?
No, I think it would be a good move. I mean, the biggest thing comes back to, as long as Microsoft doesn't own it, they'll be fine. We ain't got to worry about Xbox, doing a coup de grace or anything. For them, the more, I'll tell you this: I don't know what to think of Xbox when it comes to
let's get into
publishing or developing games from a third-party standpoint. When it comes, well, not from a third-party standpoint, I understand that side of it, but for a second party or a third party to publish games on their system that is in a deal with Xbox. Now, if that happened well before all of this stuff, which this deal probably did, this type of stuff was already ironed out months and months and months ago, probably a year ago or so. And now that we're finally hearing information around it, means it either just started up with development or it's a little bit through development as it
or
is
it's
right
not,
now.
Or it's not real. Like I spoke to a couple people.
Exactly, or it's not real. Because
I tried to confirm if this was real or not. I spoke to a couple people. I haven't got back yet. They said they would let me know if they knew anything. So I don't even know if this whole thing is real or not. But if it is,
I just don't know why people would why at this point they don't even value their own platform. I mean, it's a good idea. I just find it hard to see why developers would want to do that, honestly.
Well, I mean,
we do know that now.
Well, we don't know for certain if this is going to be exclusive to Xbox and PC. This could be a game that ends up everywhere.
And Xbox, is so Xbox probably gets it. Xbox gets it at Game Pass, but then they can get it everywhere else they want it to, though.
I think if this is a real rumor,
if it's a real rumor, what's the reason Xbox would be doing anything with them? If it's not exclusive, then it must be something like Game Pass, PC day and date, and PlayStation day and date too, or Switch or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think anything that they make at this point is going to have
Game Pass, definitely.
Yeah, it's going to have a component with Game Pass. Anything that they publish is going to have some kind of dealings with Game Pass. But I think that
yes,
you're either looking at I just keep it a buck. Everything that they're doing is going to be timed exclusive at some point, in my opinion. All their games. There's no pillars that is sacred. I think it's all going to be
no sacred pillars.
No. All the room is empty. the pillars are gone. So I think everything will go at some point, and anything that they're developing on, I think will have at the most. I'm thinking Game Pass, timed exclusive for Xbox and PC, and then 6 months to a year later coming to PlayStation and Switch if it can handle it, depending on the kind of game. And so I know this is supposed to be a AAA studio making a AAA game. AAA, it has a wide variety of what is considered AAA. A game that is developed for say 80 million, which I'm not scoffing at 80 million, right? But a game could be developed. Remedy, for example. Remedy has made AAA games with Control. Quantum Break was very expensive, so let me not say Quantum Break. But Control and Alan Wake 2 are not as expensive as people may think they are. Control cost them 33 million to make. Alan Wake 2 was about 50, or somewhere between 50 and 60. That's much cheaper than, say, what PlayStation spends on a Spider-Man game, which is anywhere between 200 and 300 million. So for the bigger ones, the smaller ones like Miles Morales was, I think, in the 150 range, but that's still more expensive than what Remedy's games are. And so if we're talking about a AAA game here, on the kind of energy that Xbox has been on this year, I don't see them spending AAA money, even if it is 80 million or more, and just keeping it on the Xbox and PC and in their Microsoft store on PC. Even though everything they do on PC ends up on Steam anyway. So I guess you could just say Steam as well. But I just kind of feel like I if this rumor is true, it's just cool that it's getting made and we're seeing what Rockstar, not the Rockstar that's making the game that's on the Jumbotron right now, but the Rockstar that made like Arkham City, Arkham Knight, the Arkham Asylum, all the Arkham games, like that Rockstar working on a single player action adventure game. That's what people wanted from Rockstar. If we gotta get it from 100 Star, oh well. I'm with it. Anything else you want to say before we move on?
I'm trying to think for the most part. I mean, for the most part, you're right. It just keeps coming back to like what are developers getting out of the relationship with Xbox going forward, and on top of that, is that relationship contingent on Game Pass? And I think Game Pass is still going to be the operating force for Microsoft. They proved it by coming out and confirming that Call of Duty is officially going in their day and date, which was a very huge talking point. A lot of people were under the impression that it's a good chance it may not, because they were even having internal conversations about it. So this kind of proves to me that, Game Pass is still the vehicle moving forward. And if a game like this is having anything to do with Xbox, that's more than likely the type of business arrangement they have. Once again, these are all rumors because we haven't even confirmed the fact that the story is real. But if it is, I think this is going to be the new norm, selling games on other platforms to subsidize the fact that you are basically allowing people to play the games at a very, very low barrier entry inside of Xbox Game Pass. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get to a point where Xbox, in coinciding with the fact that they shut down their physical distribution systems when it comes to making CDs and stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if we're at a point where Xbox themselves doesn't even sell disc anymore, and the only people that do sell disc is PlayStation.
They're definitely on that energy. Like they laid off a lot of the staffing at ABK that worked on that aspect of things, and so they I'm not saying that's happening. Yeah, it's not happening immediately, but when they start their next generation, like I wouldn't be shocked at all if it's just there's zero disc at all.
I will tell you this. I have if this system, because remember, the system that's rumored to be coming out is the rebranding, but the slimming down of the Xbox Series X, and the revision is supposed to be a discless Xbox Series X. And those leaked documents it shows that this digital system is a replacement for the system we have now in the Series X, meaning this system is end of life. The one that I'm
so the Xbox Series X is not going to be sold anymore when the new one comes out?
Yeah, when the new revision of the Series X comes out, the cylinder one or whichever one it is that's coming out, that is supposed to be the replacement for this system, for the Series X. So, because if you look at those leaked documents, they're readily available if anybody wants to try to find them. But on that SKU where they show the timeline, you look at it. I think this one was called like Lockhart or Ellenwood or something.
Now you can't quite use that as like. Yeah, but some of that stuff changed.
No, I guarantee some of it changed, but
yeah,
if the system stayed the same and they're still bringing a digital only system, it's kind of hard for me to accept the fact that you closed your distribution side of making physical media down in correlation with the same year that you're releasing a system that's going to be digital only. that's replacing the system that has a disk drive. It's just a lot of coincidences there. So we might find this out way earlier than you think, Slow-Mo. Way earlier. Now, will they stop selling discs right now? I don't think so. They may not sell brand new ones anymore on disc.
Well, I mean, like, wasn't Hellblade 2 a digital release?
Nope, it was a digital only. It wasn't a
physical. That's what I said. It was a digital release. Yeah,
it was a digital release. And even I mean, listen, man, I you can barely find anything Xbox Series X related or Xbox One related brand new in a store anymore. So it is what it is on that. But it's going to be an interesting thing to see how developers interact with it. It will end up being more money for them because, you don't have to go through third parties outside of selling on Xbox's or in Xbox's ecosystem. They take their cut. You're not splitting the bill with any other, floor space or retail shelf or anything like that. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But that's all I got.
All right. Well, we'll see how it all plays out. Let's get to the semi-main event.
Semi-main event. Before we get to the Tyson fight, gotcha.
And that is about the PlayStation forecast and PC strategy. So, all this documentation is rarely out there. Actually, I think I will put in the chat a link to the business segment meeting that they had. If anyone would like to actually take a look at this. But we're going to do a little bit of cliff notes on what was said and do a little bit of discussion on it. So basically, PlayStation, Sony is now calling the PlayStation 5 the most profitable PlayStation yet. They are taking a more measured approach to growing in mobile as opposed to PC. They'll be working with companies like NCSoft that does a lot of mobile games to expand further into mobile. PlayStation sees PC releases as opportunities for growth and not I can't say words. Cannibalization. There we go. Right.
Sound like me now.
As they've said before, live service titles will be day and date on PC, but they're going to be more strategic in tentpole single player games. Herman Holst, the CEO of games, is suggesting that they could potentially convince, and Forte, don't laugh here. They could convince PC gamers to be interested in their game, who are interested in their games, to buy a PlayStation console to enjoy the sequels of games they've played on PC, to get those games sooner instead of waiting for them to come to PC. What are your thoughts on that, Forte? Actually, but before I even say that, before I ask you that question, in light of what happened with the Helldivers 2 debacle, where PC gamers did not want to do a free PSN linking to their Steam account. It's free.
It's free.
Wouldn't cost them a dime. And they used the scapegoat of other gamers in other regions of the world wouldn't be able to play the game anymore, or wouldn't be able to play the game at all as justification for them review bombing and coming together. And even now, in light of all that, Helldivers 2 really hasn't recovered since then. In light of that, in light of the fact that Epic Game Store, they've been making an example out of Epic Game Store for years. Epic Game Store gives discounts on games all the time. You can get your games cheaper there. You can get free good games there. And in light of all that, a lot of PC gamers will basically pretend like the game never even launched if it's timed exclusive to the Epic Game Store.
Right.
And they don't even pay attention to it until it launches on Steam. In light of all these things, is it more likely that PC gamers would just wait for these single player games to come to Steam and PC overall than to buy a $400 or $500 closed system console to play those games? What do you think?
They have been waiting this entire generation. They will continue to wait. They already proved that they are, for the tomfoolery, they already proved that, hey, if you make a great game and you release it on our platform, we'll play it. If Helldivers didn't release on PC day and date, it wouldn't be the success that it is today, because I don't think the PlayStation ecosystem on the console had nothing to do. Like, did they contribute? Absolutely. But guess what? My kids contribute to, washing the dog and keeping the house clean. But ultimately, the person that contributed the most was the person that made sure that the roof was still over our head, the light bill was paid. And you know who paid the light bill, Slow-Mo? PC gamers. They paid the light bill for that game. They're the ones that kept the lights on for that game. They're the ones that had people running out in droves for people to go out and buy the game on console. Because I know a lot of people that have friends that play games on PC and their friends didn't have a PC. So they just said, hey, you should go get this game called Helldivers and work on your PlayStation 5. So I think the inverse happened for PlayStation. I think more people bought the game on PlayStation because more people played it on PC, and people knew people that had it on PC to play with them. Because how often do you have a chance? It's more easy to do it now because of the way the games release now, and cross-platform play and cross save and cross compatibility. It's easier to play with your friends on other platforms now. But this is like one of the very first games where I think it wasn't the PlayStation ecosystem itself that made a game flourish. So I understand what they're thinking. It's great. It's a good business strategy. Sell, get people excited for a new game by giving them the older one. So when the new one comes out, if they liked it enough, then they'll want to jump on it right then and there. But the only problem to that is most people that wanted to play that game when it first came out already played it.
Let me just say something real quick, because we got a lot of interesting thinking going on in the chat.
Yeah,
this is estimated to be 200 million PC gamers out there.
A lot.
It's two of us on the panel.
It's just two.
If the two of us on the panel own PS5s and don't wait for games, does that mean the other 200 million PC gamers are going to do the same thing? That meat that's in your head, use it. Use that, please. Let's just be for real here, okay? Not every PC gamer thinks the same. Me and Forte got high-end gaming PCs, whereas the majority of PC gamers have a budget GPU. There are different things that PC gamers may find important that the two of us may not find important.
Yep, I agree.
I have never played League of Legends. I have never played CSGO. I've barely played a little bit of Valorant. Those three games are among the top 5 games played on PC.
Mm-hmm.
Those three games I mentioned, you can play it on a potato. If someone plays League of Legends exclusively, and that's a lot of people,
A lot of people.
All they play is League of Legends. Why do they care about PlayStation or those games? It's funny because some of the same people that said, oh, these sales are awful on PC. I don't even know why PlayStation even put their games over there. These sales suck, except for Helldivers 2. They didn't say that about Helldivers 2, but everything else, sales are terrible. I think what's the most one of the single player games sold? 2 million? That's it. 2 million for a game that's like years old. This is what they said before. Now, when you start saying, well, why would a PC gamer who values freedom, who values being able to tailor the game to how they want to play it with their performance, who values those things, who values having mods available when the developer or publisher doesn't deem it important to fix certain things that are needed to be fixed, why would they go spend $400 to $500 on something to just play one game? Does that seem like the same kind of person? And sure, they know, and all I've been saying is that PC gamers are just wait. Most PC gamers would just wait. They'll just wait for the game to show up on their platform. And some people just like, oh, but you don't wait. Is my name most PC gamers? Is that my name? I have a 4080 Super. Less than 1% of PC gamers have my GPU. Hello? Do y'all understand how this works? Do you understand how logic works? Do you understand how data and statistics work?
Mm-hmm.
Hello? I'm not your average PC gamer. And when I tell you how PC gamers think, I'm not speaking from my experience. This is like listening skills be on E, man. Like it's not that difficult to figure out. I'm not speaking for me. I'm just telling you how they act. Like, I didn't agree with how they treated Helldivers 2. But guess what they did despite Slow-Mo not agreeing? They review bombed the heck out of Helldivers 2 and they made an example of it. I didn't agree with them review bombing every other Sony game that's in Steam over Helldivers 2. But guess what they did anyway? They review bombed the heck out of it. I play games through the Epic Game Store. If it's cheaper on the Epic Game Store, I'm going to get it there. I see those free games at Epic Game Store, I get those games. Fortnite, love it. Get the Battle Pass every year. I am not your average PC gamer. So when you see people in this community who came from consoles, are now primarily on PC, and they own the PS5, that's not representative of all PC gaming. That's just this small bubble.
Mm-hmm.
If the two got people on this panel, 2 people, most of y'all got more fingers than the people that's on this panel. I say most, not all. I don't know about some of y'all. But you got 2 people in the panel is not representative of the entire PC community. Hello, come on, man. I mean, like, you can play Valorant with a 1060 and get triple freaking digit frame rate. The people that are like, oh, well, you know, the PS5 is more powerful than most people's console. I mean, PC. They don't play those games.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they played the kind of games that Sony makes, they would upgrade their GPU to make sure they could play those games well. They don't play those games. They have no need to upgrade this is why they have the kind of PC they have. Because the kind of PC they have, 1080p, triple digit frame rates in old games. That's all they need. The people who are upgrading their GPU every other generation is less than 5% of all PC. It's somewhere between like less than 5 to 10% of all PC gamers. Aram says you were speaking for most PC gamers. I am not saying that is. Let me say this. I am not saying it is my opinion of how I feel. I am telling you how they act. This is like, it's not that difficult to see how they operate. People thought, oh, Epic Game Store is getting Borderlands 3 times exclusive. Alan Wake 2 is exclusive. All these games exclusive. Oh, they about to clean up. Have they been cleaning up on PC? No, they haven't. Why? Because you can't predict, you can't use console marketing and console business strategies in the console market and see if it's going to work in the PC market. It does not work that way. Although depending on the incentives they provide, when PlayStation comes out with their PC launcher, I'll install it. If they give me incentives to play their game there, I'll play their game there. But guess what most PC gamers are going to do? They're going to stick with Steam. And this is what free launchers, yo. Like, your whole argument can't be, well, you know, Slow-Mo, you have a PS5. And when I keep hitting you with like, like truth bombs here, they're in a free launcher. They don't want it. Does it make sense? To me, don't make no sense whatsoever. But it's a free launcher and they won't install it. But you expect them to spend $400 minimum on a console to play one game? I saw prominent PC gamers on Twitter today talking about pirating God of War Ragnarok.
Oh,
why?
Yeah. I know somebody's going to do it already.
Why? Because Sony said it requires PSN to play. Free PSN. They're going to pirate the game. You expect those people? These are the people who are interested in Sony's games. These aren't the people that you think they are. They're not the guys playing League of Legends. They're not the guys playing Counter-Strike. They're not the guys playing World of Warcraft. They don't care about Sony's games. And to bring it all home, what games are y'all even talking about? Wolverine? The only single player game they've announced so far? Everything else has been live service. And that's all day and date on PC. So what are we even discussing here? When they finally do announce some games? When they finally do announce those games? PC gamers go, oh man, Ghost of Tsushima, awesome game. I loved it. That Ghost of Tsushima 2 comes out. Yeah, I'm going to spend $400 on the. The only chance, I would say, the only chance you're going to get some PC gamers to really allow them to really get PlayStations is for Grand Theft Auto 6, which is not a Sony game. And that's simply because it's not launching, because the way Rockstar does that, everything, they stagger it. They do console first, then they do PC second. And it'll be on PC like a year later. And so no one's going to be on PC a year later, and people can create their own servers, mod their own servers, have their own, do all kinds of ridiculous stuff. I've seen the wildest stuff in the last GTA. Just all on PC. A lot of those guys probably just going to wait too.
Yep, I agree.
I'm sorry. It had to be said. Y'all gotta stop thinking with this console mentality. It's a different market.
Yeah, I will say it like this. Me and Slow-Mo's buying habits are not consistent with what most hardcore PC gamers' opinions are. it's like the biggest thing that kind of stuck with me is when they made a huge deal out of a mandatory login, just to log in. Don't even have to pay for it, just to log in to play Helldivers. Once I saw the fire and brimstone come from that, I was like, oh yeah, these dudes ain't playing. Like they don't want to do any of this stuff, to the point where Sucker Punch had to come out and talk about how Ghost of Tsushima is going to have it, but it's only for the Legends mode. And guess what? That's not even going to matter, because now you're seeing people get pissed off that God of War Ragnarok, a fully single player game, is going to have the same login, because guess what? Sony cares about their MAUs, their monthly active users. They want to be able to track that. They want to be able to use that data when they're going to their shareholders and talk about how much they grown their overall platform and player base. You know, because guess what? Just like Xbox talks about every screen's an Xbox, PlayStation wants to say, shoot, every screen's a PC, every PC is a PlayStation when it comes to the games we put over there. They want to have that same conversation. So the biggest thing that people got to realize is I admire the direction that they're going. You know, the two CEOs being able to keep the financial business separate across both of them. I think that is a very, very good strategy that they're doing. Herman coming out talking about excuse me, the direction of still making a console the premier buying option for people to experience the games first and then launching those games later on PC. But the part, like he said, like Slomo said, the part I think they're missing is, sure, you're going to get, when I say one or two, let's just extrapolate that across thousands or tens of thousands sales. So you're going to get, you may get 2 million sales of a game that you release 2 years later on PC. That's fine. You know, that's fine. It is what it is. But this is the thing that I don't think that they realize yet. There's not too many studios that can get away with releasing a game third party on another platform like PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, or something like that, and then bring it to PC. You ain't even see Cyberpunk. You ain't even see CD Projekt Red do that.
Yeah.
CD Projekt Red released everywhere.
Rockstar is different.
Rockstar,
and they can do that.
That's what I'm about to say. The only studio I know that knows that they're going to get double dips everywhere is Rockstar, because everybody bends the knee to Rockstar. Everybody, because you're going to get the console gamers are going to buy it. They're the reason that you're going to see console sales triple over the course of the next calendar year, because console gamers are going to get off their older systems and they're going to finally upgrade to the benefit of Xbox and PlayStation, and hopefully Nintendo too, because we don't know if it's going to make it to a Nintendo platform, because we don't know what the next Switch is going to be yet. So but hopefully that happens too. But you're going to see a massive jump in platform and hardware growth. And guess what's also going to happen? You're going to also see brand new graphics cards coming out. You're going to see the floor lift on graphics cards from being like 2060s or 3060s now. It's going to probably be somewhere. The average card is going to be like a 30 something, or it may be a low. It's going to be a 30 something, most likely. A low 3060, 3070 might be the average. And Grand Theft Auto is going to come out and everybody is going to buy that thing on PC, even if they don't care about playing the game. It's going to be about a graphical test. It's going to be about mod support. Right. If you ever play Grand Theft Auto on a PC now, like in 2024, with the ridiculous mods they have, that thing,
it's a different game, man.
It's not even the same game. You might well play, it's something completely different. So that is what we're talking about. It is the difference between what a PC gamer is looking at, because it gives them the benefits of everything they already want. They'll wait for Grand Theft Auto to come because they'll just get the story aspects and stuff on console. Or they'll just say, hey, it's coming in 2 years to PC. I'll just wait. And they're going to buy the game anyway. That's what Sony doesn't have. Sony doesn't have that type of built-in player base to say God of War. Like, to me, God of War is one of the best franchises they make. I'll buy a PlayStation for God of War because I'm not going to wait to play God of War. I'm going to play God of War because I want to play the game and experience the game. PC gamers are looking at it like, I don't care about God of War. Shoot, 80% of the PlayStation fan base don't care about God of War. That's the thing that's the other thing you got to think about. There's 80%, 80 to like 75 to 80% of all PlayStation gamers don't care about God of War. And you can extrapolate that across whatever game you think is first party for Xbox, PlayStation. For the most part, even Insomniac, Spider-Man sold over 20 million copies. They sold 120 million consoles. So you trying to tell me only 80 to 90% didn't care about it? So that's the thing you gotta think and expend and take that number bigger when you're thinking about the PC player base, because the PC player base dwarfs the console player base in just one place. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how that's going to play out. I like the direction they're going with it. They're slow. This is the thing. Microsoft went full bore. One day they were like, all our games are going day and date. PlayStation is kind of slow walking their way to that scenario. They're telling you right now that all first party games that are of games as a service, gas games, are going to be multi-plat to PC. We're going to talk about that when we move over to the DPS channel with the state of play that just got announced. So I'm real interested to see what the plan is going to be for PlayStation 6, because right now, you know, shout out to Logic. He always talks about scalability and all this other stuff and all of the numbers and all of the development time that goes into bringing a game day and date to PC. We always said that PlayStation isn't doing it right now. At some point, PlayStation will do it. And the reason they may not be doing it right now is because they don't have the manpower at the studio level to be able to produce a game and make it of the quality that PlayStation wants the game to be at, to maintain that quality across their platform plus the platform they want to bring their games to, PC. So I think once they hit that threshold and they're able to make the game and it has the same quality both places by upping their manpower, which will probably be by the time they get to PlayStation 6, that's when I think the conversation about what Herman Host is talking about is completely out the window at that point, because we all know dollars make sense. It's all about money. These companies like to hold on to the fact that they tell you that we care about the console, we care about the platform, and I think they do. They care about the PlayStation brand wholeheartedly, but they care about money too. And they want people to spend more money. And they just announced in that forecast that PlayStation 5 to date, to the day of PlayStation 5 today, 4.5 years into its generation, or almost 5 years into its generation, they are already surpassed the revenue and profitability that PlayStation 4 gave them up to this point already. And it looks like they're scaling that even more going into the next year and the next year and the year after that. And if that growth continues, and part of the growth is because of games as a service, games being sold on PC. If it's not because the console sales of the games are going up, but they're seeing the revenue in other places going up, what's the number one thing you expect the company to do? They're going to be like, well, shoot, we're not seeing the growth. Like, we're seeing a steady growth, like a steady, like, slope of our games on console go up, but we're seeing a massive slope on PC and other platforms. How do we get this to look like that? Well, that's where they go back to the whole thing about consoles being saturated. Are we at a saturation point where console gaming is still growing, but it's growing, so it's more people coming out of it than going into it, because a lot of people are getting older and upgrading to PC and they're seeing the benefits of stuff like that? Those are all the things we got to kind of think about as gamers. But I'm rambling at this point. it's really interesting to see what they're really talking about now, because these are the things that Phil Spencer and everybody over at Xbox was saying a long time ago. But the thing with them is they had no games to back it up. They had no direction to speak of at that point to like make their reality and their basically speak their truth when it comes to their games come to reality. PlayStation has that. They just have to find a way to stay profitable long enough to get to that point.
Real quick, I sent you the state of play recording of state of play.
Cool. Yeah. I was actually I was still in the middle of recording it, so I could stop this recording. Cool, that's even better.
Yeah, just check the DPS drive folder.
Yeah, I'm doing it now.
So about what you said about PS6, I do agree that like there's a high chance that I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but there's a high chance that they may choose for even single player games to do day and date once PS6 comes out. But what it really comes down to is that they don't, like, the way they do their game development is different than Xbox, where Xbox will have, sometimes they'll have a support studio do a port, but they normally do it in-house by the developer that's making the game. And so that's a bit, it's not easy. It's not easier to put it on PC, but it's like when it's all in-house and you got studios that have been used to doing that, like all the studios that they acquired as well as the ones that they had already, they all did that already. But the way PlayStation does their development is they focus solely on the console and that's it. And then later on they'll do the PC port, you know, with a port studio, not the same studio that made the game, although some of them are doing that. Sony Bend has done that. Naughty Dog has been progressing towards that. With the Uncharted collection, they had Iron Galaxy do it. And with Iron Galaxy gave them some guidance with The Last of Us Part 1, which wasn't quite good enough, frankly, because that port was really bad. But like, they're progressing and learning, and they have a lot of live service games coming out, and those live service games are going to be launching day and date on PC. All of this is learning experiences, and it's learning experiences for them to figure out how to scale their operations, because like they acquired Nixxes, and Nixxes has been working overtime. They've expanded their studio. They have all this extra staff to help them accommodate all of these ports that they're doing. But Nixxes can't do it all by himself. Jetpack Interactive is doing God of War Ragnarok, and they did an excellent job on the first God of War port. I think if the port for Ragnarok is just as good as the God of War port, you could potentially look at Sony acquiring the studio just to kind of get, keep it in house and make sure they're not having their resources split among, doing potentially other external work for other publishers or other studios importing games. They're good at it. They may not be as good as Nixxes at it, but hey, Nixxes can't do everything. And Nixxes didn't do Horizon Zero Dawn, but they ended up having to do Horizon Forbidden West because the port studio that did Zero Dawn really kind of screwed it up in the beginning, and Guerrilla had to come in and fix it. And so from now in 2024 to likely 2027, 2028, when the PS6 comes out, a lot can change. What I think they told us this week is that they're not changing their philosophy on how they handle PC and their PC strategy right now. Now, sure, we got into a long discussion about the 20 seconds that Herman Hulse spent towards talking about potentially convincing PC gamers to buy a PlayStation to get those sequels sooner. And we talked about how that likely isn't going to happen. And I think they know that's not going to happen. The same way Forte and I know that's a lot of the people that they have interest in for their games aren't going to do that. And they're fine with the later releases. because as those games reach their sales tail and they taper off, and those games never really recover the same sales clip that they were getting when they first launched, or even a few months after launch, giving it new life on PC is worth it to them. But shareholders and investors are going to start asking, you know, if they say they get more games that are successful like Helldivers 2, but why isn't X game that's a single player game going on? We want that money now, not a year from now or 18 months from now or whatever. We want that money now. You know, that as time goes on, that's going to become a louder question. And I think they're not trying to, and I commend Sony for this, they don't want to compromise how they make their games, and they don't want to compromise the quality of the games when they launch. I think they've had some issues with that with Spider-Man 2. It was a bit buggier than what I would anticipate from an Insomniac game. But typically before that, they would go through a very long period of polishing, of post-development, to make sure that their games are ready to go when they launch. And I don't think that has, I think they need to get back towards that after the Spider-Man 2 launch, but they value that. And that's something I wish most publishers value. And with that being a focus for them, they're not going to dwindle the resources of the studio on a PC port. But if you can outsource that to a different studio to do it for you, then it really alleviates a lot of those issues. Let's see. Are you ready to go, man? Forte?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, so I can get the redirect done.
Yeah, I'm starting it now. So
if you're new to the show, this is the segment the part of the show where we switch over, and you don't have to do anything if you don't choose to. I will put the link in the chat Forte will put the link in the chat for the DPS channel live stream in the chat. But if you want to just wait for me, I will redirect us to the live stream, and where we would do our last topic, which would be discussing. You see, is it up?
It's coming up in a second. It should be up. Yep, it's up now.
Is it so PlayStation did a state of play today? Here.
Yep, that's it.
Good grief. Here's our can you fix the title?
Oh, what did I put? What did I do? So PlayStation did a state of play today. Here's our impression. Oh yeah, that R is the wrong R. Sorry. Shut up.
No, you shut up.
It wasn't even visible.
Anyway, we're gonna get redirected to there now, and see you guys on the other side. And for those who are